So did you have to retrain on the Jaguar then?
Yes, I went back through what was then 41 Jag training flight, because the OCU had, I think the OCU had folded by that time. So they had a Jag training flight who would do all the refreshers because they weren't taking any more students. It was just guys who had already qualified who were coming back to the Jag to live out its last few days. So yeah, I went back onto the JTF and I did a quick refresher. I think, I don't know, it must have been 20-30 hours maybe, something like that, and then straight out to Oman. So it was a arrive with a bump, as it were. So yeah, just a quick refresher, and then because I wasn't going to be providing any service to the RAF, as it were, in the UK, so they didn't want to spend a load of hours on me, so get me back in the cockpit, competent, capable, and then off you go. That was pretty much it.
Did you find it a struggle, or was it riding a bike?
Riding a bike. It was a bit strange because it's a big old beast compared to the Hawk, and it doesn't turn, and but actually going to a simpler jet and then coming back again meant that I got to grips with the kit a lot better, and going through ground school, because I went through ground school again before going back to the JTF, and actually a lot more sunk in second time round, so it did me a lot of good actually going back and then coming back out again. So yeah, it was good.
Must have been nice having reheat again.
Yeah, it's always nice having reheat.
So what were your roles out in Oman?
I was a squadron QFI, but I was also front line as well. So I got the best of both worlds in many ways, but normally I would be predominantly student flying. But I also did my 4-ship upgrade. I did MVG, did the tiled. I also did bounce qual as well. I was the sort of flight test pilot as well, so any aircraft that came out of a major service, I'd then go and do the full flight test regime as well, which was could be a bit sporty, because if they'd been a hangar queen for a few months and then you went and took them flying, you had to kind of know your systems and know your stuff in order to be able to come back and fully debrief the guys and get the jet fully sorted before it hit the line again. So a bit of everything, day, night, dawn, NVG, taught all the air combat. I did OLF. The rules were slightly laxer, I think is probably the word. OLF was 50 foot, normal low flying was 150. Air combat, normal base height for someone like me was 150 feet, AGL, whereas in the UK it's about 5,000. I think. So you were full up air combat at ground level essentially, and if you then had an OLF, so if both of you were OLF qualified, you could do OLF and you could do air combat sort of at the same time. So if you could merge at 50 feet, and then your base height suddenly tripped up to 150. So it was fighting really right at the edge of what the Jag was capable of, and that was taught me a lot about the handling of the aircraft. So
can you remember your first trip on Oman?
Yeah, we went to Kasab. We were they were on detachment at Seeb in Muscat, and one of the guys, the other Brit QFI there, said, "Oh well, I'm flying to Kasab. Let's go to Kasab." Now, Kasab is about 10 miles from Iran. It's on the Musandam Peninsula. The approach for sort of the 0502 runway-ish, I can't remember which one, is down a wadi with a couple of three 90-degree turns. And finals turn, you probably get within a couple of 100 feet of what looked like a solid granite hill. And you just come around the corner, and then there is the runway just appears in front of you. And that was my first that was my arrival with a bump, quite literally with a bump. Yeah. And that's it, yeah.
So how did it differ compared to UK flying?
Longer takeoff run, obviously much hotter. During the summer it would be quite happily 40 degrees, but then over the runway with the tarmac and the concrete it would be 50 plus. So thumb rate was 11,000 feet and we regularly use 9,500 feet of it. So it was speeds commensurately higher with that. So yeah, it was hot, heavy, high. So you're kind of operating really at the limits of what the Jag was able to do. Hence, you had to treat it with respect.
What models were they?
Essentially the same. The only one that differed slightly was they had the trainer, what they called the B version, with air-to-air refueling. So the pitot probe was changed for an air-to-air refueling probe, and you could actually go and air-to-air refuel in the T-Bird, which was hilarious fun because you literally just drive straight at it. Normally with air-to-air refueling with the Jag, because it's the refueling probes on the side, you're looking at references in the head-up display. No, not with the B version. You just literally drive that big old thing straight into the basket and off you go.
Was it easier?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit easier. It was a bit weird, but it was a bit easier, yeah.